We're just getting hype. We're just getting hype. I'm Abby with MotorCityNerds, and House of the Dragon is back. Okay, it's back. I'm on OFM, on TikTok, I'm on all the things down below. But let's talk about this. I had qualms with this. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Oh, my interview with the vampire. We are combining 2 episodes. Still the best show on TV. But don't worry, that's coming. I know I'm in my green, but we're Team Black. All of my banners are outside hanging, so none of them are up this time. They will be up later because Mom said I have too many up. But anyway, let's talk about this. I felt like this episode had some bloat. Does anybody else feel that way? Too much crawling around in the catacombs, and we'll talk about that. I did appreciate certain things they did, but I do feel like this was a little bloaty. It could have been thinned down in places. And let's start with this. We opened up seeing Winterfell and the North, and we got that music back, and it's great, and I love it. I don't need you to remind me of your other show. People might get mad at me saying that. I don't. I don't need your opening of Cregan to have to be Jon Snow and Ned full of these same shots and then going, oh, let me just remind everybody, White Walkers are a thing that won't matter until the other series we want you to go watch, so you keep paying for our app. I don't need that. I don't need it. And I'm not hating on it. Of course, I love to see that stuff, but I don't need you guys to keep reminding us. I would have much rather seen Cregan in Winterfell, in the I almost said throne room, in the Great Hall, sitting there and being in charge. I think I would have liked that more. I don't mind what they said about the Conqueror and Torrhen Stark. All you need to know is they were given a little bit of a history lesson there. And just remember that Starks are really loyal. And Cregan is awesome. I love Cregan. I'm not taking anything away from Cregan. I loved seeing him not wielding, but having ice on his back, Ned's ancestral blade, the sword. It's awesome. I loved that. I didn't like the introduction of this character, though, personally. I thought it could have been done cooler. But I also understand I'm a freak. And you do want to remind other people that aren't freaks like us or like me that this was a whole thing. Can I tell you guys what my note says? Nobody cares about this for 10 minutes. But you might, just because, and here's the thing, I break things down for everybody. I break things down for everybody, not just the freaks like me, not just the people obsessed with it. Sorry, that was uncomfortable. I do. I try to do things for everybody, and I do try to put myself in the shoes of, what if I wasn't obsessed with this and didn't know every little thing about it? But then we get the letter about his brother, just like Jon Snow got about Bran falling when he was at the wall, but reversed this time. So I didn't mind any of that. Like I said, I like the way they handled that, but at the same time, like I said, I don't need the opening of the second season to be, hey, remember Game of Thrones? I liked cutting back to Dragonstone. I liked Rhaenys looking tired, looking disheveled, her dragon looking tired, and Daemon's like, that's a command. And she's like, wait, I forgot, are you king? Now, I saw some people on Facebook specifically posting about why wouldn't Daemon be king then? It's the same reason why when Elizabeth was queen, her husband wasn't shit. You cannot have a title above the ruling monarch. A king would technically be above a queen, so you stay a prince. I liked Rhaenys reminding Daemon, she's grieving. Oh, weren't you married to my daughter? Remember when she died? Remember how rough that was? And I liked when Daemon looked away like, I did genuinely love your daughter. I don't really want to talk about this. Daemon, like we talked about in my reviews from last season, does not do well with emotion. He's going to dive into war and attacks and strategy instead of facing the things that make him sad. Viserys' death, Rhaenyra having the miscarriage, all of that stuff. But guys, let's talk about this. I'm not going to give away spoilers. I did not think we would get the God's Eye. I did not think we were going to get that this season. We're totally going to get that this season. That's totally going to be the finale. You could have drank every time they brought up the Riverlands or Harrenhal or just the Tullys, like anywhere in the Riverlands, where Daemon wants to go, where Aemond wants to go. They keep saying anybody who can secure the Riverlands it's going to be a big, huge factor here. And the fact that they keep bringing it up so much is telling me we're going to get that. We're totally going to get that. Now, like I said, I thought there was bloat here. I thought there was too much walking around, too much looking at stuff. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. And I always tell people this over here. Film and the art of film is my favorite thing. And then it just so happens that I love all this other stuff. But I feel like this could have had some fat trimmed off of it. But nothing was egregious. Rhaenys telling him she's grieving. She's grieving. She needs to face that first. And he's like, well, man. And then she's like, quit crying. I forgot. You are not the ruler. So why don't you shove it? She's reminding Daemon real early, remember who's in charge here, and it is not you. The black dude. Let's talk about the black dude. Now, the black dude and his brother are rumored to be, or are, bastards to Corlys Velaryon, or Vaemond, or whoever they're going to make it, because what bothers me is Corlys and his wife have the best relationship in Westerosi history, so, but I don't know, they haven't really focused on that in the show, so it's not that horrible, it's like, oh, I could have had them before, whatever, because they seem much older, but I do like this, because everybody starts getting chucked on a dragon. Spoiler alert, everybody starts getting chucked on a dragon, because there's several that are riderless. But when he gave Corlys the dagger, and he's like, oh, you were the one who pulled it from the sea, there's obviously a connection there that they're going to delve deeper into. I don't think we needed that this early. I don't. I think you could have cut that and had that in a different episode, but what do I know? This is only the first episode, but I'm like, you're bogging people down. And when I say bogging people down, I mean, I watched this with I don't know what he is, and my mom, and they're normies. they're normies. And so they were like, wait, what's going on? And I'm like, no, it's all good. This is not as important right now. It'll be important later. But just know he could possibly be related to Corliss and feels tight with him. But here's my thing. They were throwing a lot at us this episode. A lot. And does anybody else feel... Now, I'm all for medieval talk. You want to use make haste and good morrow and all that stuff. That's fine. But I feel like they kind of upped it a little bit because there was a couple times where even I was like, I am zoning out in the monologue you are saying here. And more than once, my mom and him were like, hey, can you go back 10 seconds? What was going on there? And twice during this episode, I had to pause it and give a slight PowerPoint presentation of, hey, this is what's going on here. So I do feel like they upped that a bit, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, they're trying way too hard. Because it was never like that with Game. Like, it was like that, but it wasn't like that so much with Game of Thrones, or I feel like with the first season of this. We cut to King's Landing, and the production value on this is just out of this world. It's out of this world good. It's so good. In King's Landing, we see that. We see Vhagar, who is, I might be Team Black, but Vhagar is my favorite dragon. And we see Vhagar coming home. We see Aemond. We see Aegon and Helena with their kids. And Aegon's like, yeah, bring this kid to my councils. And what he's doing in that council, just so you guys know, when he's like, give him a pony ride. He's letting him know, remember, you ain't shit, and remember, we're the best, and I'm humiliating you, and that's the heir to the throne. So they're above you, and you will do anything they want, and remember that we run this. That's what he's doing by humiliating him, or attempting to, and that's why Alicent says, oh, you're the problem, Lord Lannister, but really, she knows, cut the shit, Aegon. That's what she's doing there. What I thought was really interesting with this, and I liked Helena's little prophecy thing, but... whatever, it's fine, it's there, but I feel like it doesn't really have to be. But I like it, and I like Helena, and we'll get into all her stuff later. But what I thought was interesting was the guy I was watching it with said, is that a boy or a girl in the council room? Not like being a jerk, just saying, I can't tell. Like, is this a Rhaenyra repeat or not? And I'm like, I don't know. And then later on in the episode, that came up. So I was like, oh, that was a choice. And even regular viewers, not freaks like me, noticed it. Oh, this is a weird one, because I can normally remember things. Was it ever explicitly said in the books that we've read that Alicent and Criston Cole were hooking up? Because now this is totally coming off. Like, Criston Cole, which I definitely think, fuck up foot, that's what we call him from my other reviews, Larys Strong with the jacked up foot, who thinks he's master of whisperers and whatever, he's upset about them hooking up. He's pissed off about them hooking up. He's like, oh, you're indisposed? Oh, you're talking to a new guy who you actually like and doesn't just want to see your feet for a price? So I thought I did like that wrinkle, but I don't remember if it's explicitly said. So you guys can let me know if Criston Cole and Alicent are hooking up, because like I said, this is giving mad vibes of, I'm trying to get back at my ex from Criston Cole. I'm trying to get back at my ex, and now I'm hooking up with you to get back at her, and starting a war that I can to get back at her. And I thought that is probably the most intriguing wrinkle of things going on, like, internally. They're showing Cheese, the rat catcher. They're showing him repeatedly throughout this. We're showing the small folk throughout this. We're showing the workers throughout this. And this show is very much about, hey, the people, the common people, the small folk have a lot more power than you think. The people that are cleaning your chamber pots and killing your rats and doing these things that you don't even look at twice. All these characters are walking right by this guy throughout the entire episode. They're just not even acknowledging their existence. And then look, they have all the power in the end. But back to the council for a minute. Alicent, shut up. I thought you learned a long time ago you have no power here. Now, I understand her and Otto talking later when she's like, I need to try and guide Aegon. I don't know what to do, yada, yada, yada. At least he still heeds me, but I need you to be on my side, Dad, because they're not respecting me and they're going to stop and yada, yada, yada. I thought you lost all your power and realized you did back when they put your son on the throne in the middle of the council. You said, oh my God, you were going to usurp his sister and put my son on the throne and been making a whole plan behind my back. I thought you realized back then, you are nothing here. You are a nobody. You are nothing. You can pretend you have power. You can pretend what you say matters. It doesn't. It doesn't. But I thought you learned that. So are we repeating with this character, or is she regressing? But once again, who's bringing up the Riverlands now? Aemond. If you know, you know. Aemond and Daemon repeatedly bringing up the Riverlands is a big tell of what's going to happen. I just didn't know if we were going to see it this season. During all of this, we cut to Rhaenyra finding Arax, the dragon's wings. Now, some people were saying, okay, either way, it would make more sense for this. In the book, it's said that Rhaenyra finds, or somebody finds, Lucerys', her son, who got killed last season's head, right? And I was like, are they going to show that? That's going to be rough. And we'll get into my gripe with Blood and Cheese in a minute. But I was like, are they going to find his head? that's going to be really, really rough. But that's also a thing that kind of sets her off even more. I liked her finding the cloak. I liked her finding the outfit because we've seen that so prevalently on screen, so it makes sense. But then other people were saying this too. They were like, oh, Cyrax is the mother dragon to that dragon, so that's why she's crying. No. These dragons are crying or screeching or growling because of how their owner feels. There's that Targaryen connection, that rider connection that these people have with their dragons. They have that deep connection. They can feel what they're feeling. That's what's going on there. So Rhaenyra's in pain, and so Cyrax calls out. At least that's how I took it. Some people were like, oh no, she's a grieving mother dragon. Dragons don't grieve. Dragons don't grieve. They're smart, but they're not grieving. They're giant war machines. Oh, Aegon and his little cronies, his little pals, walking into the throne room. They're like, Aegon what was it? Magnanimous? Is that the word? Yeah, and it's like nice and good. No, okay. Stop trying to make me like Aegon. Stop trying to make Aegon II the rapist happen. Stop trying to make Aegon II letting his bastards fight in child pits, filing their teeth and killing each other to the death that he bets on happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen here. It's not. It's not going to happen in this house. But he's listening to all the petitions, right? And he realizes, oh, I can't just make everybody happy. And then Otto's like, oh, no, you can't give nothing back. And that's another time. Are we trying to remember Daenerys? Is that what you guys are trying to do here? Stop trying to remind me of the previous show you had. Stop it. We all know Game of Thrones exists. Stop it. It's the same thing. And, oh, my sheep are gone. Oh, well, we'll replace them tenfold. Shut up. Stop that. Change it. You guys, that's what you're doing. You guys are using, you did it last season too with direct, no son of mine. Okay, so you want me thinking about Tywin. You want me thinking about that way cooler show and that way cooler character you did. I'm not saying I dislike this. I'm saying stop using it as a crutch. You can stand on your own legs. But yeah, so Aegon's like, we can help everybody. And Otto's like, no, you can't. Stop doing that. And he says this, whatever you say is going to get found out. People are going to talk about it. We got Clubfoot getting in Aegon's ear, going, oh yeah, you should get rid of that. That's what he's telling him. I'm not going to give away spoilers, but he's like, you should get rid of that Otto Hightower. You should get rid of that Hand of the King. He doesn't directly say that, but that's what he's saying. And why are Alicent and Otto acting like they care about peace now? Otto, shut up. You do not care about peace. I don't want to hear that. If you did, none of this would be happening. Once again, she's like, stop undermining me, Dad. But I'm like, wait, I forgot he undermined you for an entire, take for the throne, ma'am. Did you forget that your dad did that to you? Now, this is the stuff that I liked. Now, if you were on my TikTok or here, I was saying, how are they gonna change things up for people that are book people like me to not, like, because we know Blood and Cheese is going to happen. We know all of that is happening, and we know these characters, but the show, it's an adaptation, and we also only know them as rumors from how the book is written. We don't know for sure things, because history is wrote by the winners. And I liked the way they did this. So the White Worm, Mysaria, the brothel owner, remember they burned her brothel down at the end of last season after they promised her that they were going to close, Aegon's favorite place to hang out, King Aegon's favorite place to hang out, the child fighting pits where they kill each other for sport. Yeah, really love that guy. He's really great. But remember, she's like, all I want is for you guys to burn that down, and I'll give you guys Aegon back to put on the throne. That's not what they do. They went and burned down her establishment, her business, her brothel. And she's on this ship in this season, and they're like, oh no, we're going to take you to Daemon. We know who you are. And Daemon's like, do you still have power? So the way they did Blood and Cheese, I thought was really interesting, because to us, we just know Daemon paid, or went and talked to the White Worm, and they paid like the worst of the worst to go and do this act in the Red Keep, in the castle. That's all we really know. There's some other stuff that, whatever, but like details, but like I said, is all that true? So I like the way that she was backed into a corner. I feel like the rat catcher was kind of backed into a corner, and we'll talk about that more. And the only one that was really into that was Blood, the big guy, the gold cloak that Damon's like, oh yeah, will you help me out, bud? We'll hype this up. The way they are using the dragons getting emotional, even you'll just hear them cawing or crying or whatever in the background. You won't even see them, or looking confident because they're looking confident, and looking worn out because they're worn out. I really like the way they're showing that and depicting that. I like Sir Eric and Daemon going at it. Now, remember that his twin is on Aegon's Kingsguard, and he's over here on Rhaenyra's, but him and Daemon going at it, he's telling him, all I know is the Kingsguard. I've been here since I was 18, and now I'm supposed to protect the entire royal family, and now you guys are killing each other. Who are we supposed to protect? I'm just doing what I think is right, and Daemon's like, meh. But we still love it. And then Rhaenyra comes home, and I love that. We just see the dragon in the background, and then she comes home, and all she says to the council after they're like, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, we're doing that. I want Aemon Targaryen. I really liked that. I liked that a lot. Again, Daemon goes to the White Worm, to Mysaria, to the girl he used to hook up with, the hooker, the prostitute, whatever, the lady of the night, and says, well, you still got spies, right? And then we see him going to Blood and Cheese. Now, you got to remember that Daemon was head of the gold cloaks. He ran that shit. Damon, and we've talked about this extensively in my other reviews for last season, he hung out in bars. He hung out in brothels. He hung out with the lowest of the low, the small folk. He was around them a lot. So they got a lot of love for Damon. They really like him. They got a lot of loyalty to him. Now, this guy just seems a little out there, but other than that, you got to remember that. They have loyalty to the blacks, a lot of them, and they have loyalty to Damon, specifically. Not even the blacks, just Damon, and that's the side he's on. So when he shows up and he's like, hey, you hear that blood, say it. Commander? Lord Commander? He still holds him in that respect. They go get him, and now they go and get the rat catcher. That rat catcher's not really about it. Now tell me how you guys felt about this. Once again, they are going into the castle. I think we were all stressing for that dog. We were all really stressing for that dog. And I didn't like it getting kicked, but I was glad it got kicked and it didn't get murdered. But the way they are going through there and walk right past everybody, I did not expect that. And I really liked that. I thought that was really telling because, like I said, we are once again showing, like Aegon said in the petitions, this war will be won by the small folk. You know, like that, then it's about to happen to you. But the way they just walk through and nobody cares, and Aegon's just lazily hanging out on the throne with his boys, and they're drinking and hanging out, and they walk right past you. Now, one thing I thought was interesting was the rat catcher. Now, this, I guess, would be accurate. Now, he says, I know Maegor's back tunnels, blah, 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 better than anybody. I don't think anybody does, but okay, remember that the Red Keep has tons of secret passageways, tons of tunnels, ladders, all types of stuff that nobody knows about to the modern present day in Game of Thrones. Not everybody knows about those. Very few people know most of them and don't know how many there are. So to say that is a huge thing to be saying, but either way, they barely even use tunnels or anything. They just waltzed right in because nobody looks at the small folk. Nobody cares about you, and it's to their demise. This took way too long. Way too long. Now, remember what Damon told them, though. He said, if you can't get Aemond, who is a really good fighter, and this is what I want to know from you guys, that rat catcher looked real scared when they brought up Aemond. I think he was relieved that he wasn't there. I think he was relieved that they got to go for Helena and the kids, because that is a much easier target, and he's about to get paid. Once again, at least there's some type of, I can wrap my head around this. I was waiting for Blood and Cheese to come and waiting for the lashback, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it, HBO. Cowards, you didn't show it. You didn't show it. Now, I'm not saying I wanted to see it. I'm not mad they didn't show it, but I knew you wouldn't, and you picked this story. You picked the story with pet death and child murder, and you guys went, we're going to do it off screen. And I'm just saying, you knew this before you picked it. You knew what was in this story. This is one of the worst things to happen in the books at all. And like I said, I'm not mad we didn't view it, but there's another odd thing that I want to know what you guys think. But Helena, you're the only green I feel bad for. They're giving you a little bit more to do in this show, which I don't mind. I felt so bad for her. The actress did great. But when Aemond isn't there and they go for her, and she just, it happens differently in the books, and it's way more gruesome and way more torture-y, but in this, they made it more like, this guy kind of didn't want to be there, this guy was all about it. Were they sawing off that kid's head? Because the only way that would make sense was if Rhaenyra would have had Lucerys' head. Then it would have made sense if she would have found his head, and then you're like, okay, now bring me their head, equaling out here. But that's not what you guys did. So I don't know why you would do that when you could just kill him. So either way, it's horrible. It's awful. It's terrible. But did you guys feel like Ratcatcher Cheese was more like, oh, thank God we don't have to fight Aemond, because I don't think we would have won that. This is way easier. My debts are going to get paid off. And this guy's way more brutal. Did you guys feel that way? Or did you feel like they both were just awful and terrible? I mean, they're both terrible. I'm not rooting for Blood and Cheese at all. They're terrible. They're awful. But what I'm saying is I like these different vibes we're getting because it's an adaptation and because of the way the books are written. So I do, and the way they're doing the show. So I did like that. But also, her waltzing right into her mom's room holding the other kid and Kristen Cole being in there, is this gonna get out? Because like I said, I know Larys is gonna use it against Alicent. And also, stop lighting candles like you care. Stop it. Stop trying to make me feel for these people, including Rhaenyra and them with certain situations. Like, yeah, no, Rhaenyra in this episode, but there are other things coming up where I'm like, I don't know, man. This is bad. And this is a bad war of family versus family. And everybody, including the small folk, are suffering because of it. And you guys are kind of shying away from that, but not in a way that I hate it. And like I said, they can adapt things, they can change the story, but I don't know. But her waltzing right in, and Alicent knows what the deal is. She already knows what the deal is. They killed the boy. They got you at home. Do you guys know how big that is outside of, like, we killed the air? We got you at home. We got into your castle. We got past everything. We can touch you there, and we don't need a dragon. That's saying something. That's huge. A son for a son. And like I said, the crawling around took way too long. That took way too long. What? There was 2 tunnels, and then we called it a day and used the rest of the castle. We didn't have to have all that chitter-chatter about it. Like I said, I'm not saying this was horrible. I just feel like there's a little bit of bloat. And honestly, I feel like they're being a bit pretentious about it. But it was your big opening episode. It's your big opening episode. I'm not hating on that, but I want to know what you guys think. And I'm going to stand on what I said. You guys know what you signed up for. And I've talked about this HBO. I talked about it with Last of Us, and I talked about it when Succession ended. You guys are backing off showing violence. You're backing off showing nudity. You're backing off showing certain things when 5 years ago you would not have batted an eye at it because you are trying to get a younger audience in on this now that it's a streaming service. That's what I think is going on. You want to make this able to go, oh, well, maybe an older teen could sit back with their parents and watch this when before it was not like that. Last of Us, I'd watch that with a teenager. There's nothing too bad in it. But then again, my mom was buying me the Kill Bill set and the Godfather set when I was like 8. So, and that's weird. But I'm just saying, like, there are certain things that I'm like, oh no. Game of Thrones, if my nephew walked into the room while we were watching it, like if he stayed over and he walked into the room and was like, oh, TT Abby, I'd go, oh no, we gotta pause this and go get him out of the room. That's what I would have done. House of the Dragon, I don't feel like that. I'd be like, if they walked in the room, I wouldn't let him sit there. But I'd go, oh yeah, no, I can be a little bit more lackadaisical about hitting pause because there isn't really anything that awful going on or that terrible on screen. There might be, I'm not saying there isn't. But if you want to know, you can watch my Last of Us video, and I go into detail about that. But I do. I feel like HBO is losing something ever since it came to Max, and I think it's dying, and I'm really worried about it. But I did like this. I don't want it to come off that way. But I'm like, we're kind of regressing with characters and how they feel. Why are we forgetting things that happened? And also, we don't need 5 minutes of staring at stuff. We don't. You just need to show me on screen what's happening. I don't need all of this walking around. Are we The Walking Dead? Are we The Walking Dead? Do we remember what happened there? Okay. I'm just saying. And I'm Abby with MotorCityNerds. I love this. We're going to talk about it more because I'm going to react to the next week's episode and talk about it, or like the preview. But yeah, it's fine. It's good. I think Interview with a Vampire is still the best show on TV, but that's a conversation for that review, which I have to do still. And also it's like 99 degrees up here. Because I don't like to run my air conditioner while I do my reviews, and because I feel like it's annoying to you guys, and it's annoying to me, and I don't like the sound, and it's just loud and cumbersome. But it's hot as hell up here right now. The only reason I'm in this is because I jumped in my pool right before this, and then did my makeup, and then came up here. But no, I'm starting to sweat, and I need to put the air on. But no, House of the Dragon is back. I'm geeked. I'm excited. I'm on OF. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the things down below. Make sure you follow me. We're on our way to 3K. We're small, but we're awesome. And I love people that support the Greens. I don't want it to feel that way either. I'm all here for it. But we're Team Black in this house. That's all I'm saying. I don't know about Mom after Damon last night, or the other night, whatever night it was. But it is what it is. I don't know. Tell me how you felt. But there was a couple things where I'm like, you're going to lose people. And they said audience viewership was down. But that same thing happened with season 1. And people were like, I remember people telling me this at the plant. They were like, no, Abby, I'm going to wait till there's 4, 5, 6 episodes, and then I'm going to binge them. And that is what people are starting to do now. And I hate it. And then people go, oh, look, it's doing bad. And it's like, no, it's not doing bad. Stop it.